Yeah, so this is Pablo. Go ahead and say your last name for me, just so we get it on the record and I don't butcher it.
Yeah, so I have a hyphenated last name, but yeah, it'd be
awesome,
said
man.
Moncada Larrotiz.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're trying to be fancy, it's Moncada Larrotiz. Yeah,
All right.
so,
There you go. There you go, ladies. Great. So we're here because of MoonDAO, this fantastic success story that's literally going to space. But before that, you were involved in another even more well-known success story, and that's Constitution DAO. So why don't we start by tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you ended up part of Constitution DAO.
Yeah, for sure. So I worked in big tech for about 3 years. I worked at Google in virtual reality, and I worked at Waymo doing like autonomous cars. But ultimately, yeah, I guess I just saw the whole like DAO crypto revolution, and I aligned a lot more with the values. I felt like, you know, something that has great potential to change the power structures in the world, and I kind of wanted to get into the fight, a little bit. I wanted to see where this thing was really going to go, and maybe try to shape it. And so I quit early in 2021, my regular job to focus on DAOs full time, and there I worked at I'm still working on a project called Junto DAO, and somewhere along the way, Constitution DAO happened, and for me, it was like I'm a huge fan of Ben Franklin. Like I love I don't know, he's just a really interesting character in U.S. history, and
Flying kites in the rain.
yeah. So I love the whole, I don't know, the idea of like there've been a bunch of DAOs that have been thinking about like writing like something like a DAO Declaration of Independence for the metaverse, or like something like that, or a DAO Constitution. So there's like a lot of these ideas floating out around there. And not only that, but I mean, I guess the first time I saw Constitution DAO, I thought like, oh, this is kind of silly, like just buying a piece of paper, like one of 13 copies of a piece of paper. But then I was like, wait, there's like a lot of symbolic weight here, and this could be the moment where DAO's really through to the public consciousness. So yeah, I thought that I kind of wanted to help out, so I started reaching out and then got involved.
And so Constitution DAO famously raised over $40 million for an auction to buy a copy of the U.S. Constitution, but then failed to win that auction. That happened on a Thursday. You exited Constitution DAO the day before. So share what you will about why that happened, why that went down.
Yeah. Well, so it was like, imagine like 30 to 40 strangers, like in their early 20s. They've all just suddenly been thrown into this like insane world where, they're raising millions of dollars. There's a lot of status, power, yeah, money on the line, and there were like kind of, I guess, like internal power plays, and just like I characterize it as Moloch. So Moloch, the demon of human miscoordination, and Moloch was very active in those chats. There was, at first, like I think in general for DAOs, having private chats creates it creates a misalignment between the core contributors and the will of the DAO, and so there was just a lot of there was a lot of tension externally coming in from people who didn't know what was going on and people who wanted to help out, and then there's a lot of tension internally because there's just all these people that have suddenly raised millions of dollars, and I think that it expressed itself over time in just like these clashes back and forth, and at one point I was just like, I tried to push, I guess, as much as I could for the values that I had internally, and I just kind of hit a wall. Like at some point, it was just like not happening, and yeah, I was like, all right, well,
yeah. You're out of there. Well, I mean, it wasn't too long after Constitution DAO that MoonDAO sprung up. I think beginning of December, right?
Yeah. So MoonDAO formed after Constitution DAO left their Discord. Basically, they kind of abandoned the project, and then you had like all this energy, all these people that kind of like they wanted a place to run, I guess, or like they were like, whoa, like this is crazy. Like I didn't know this was possible. I didn't know people could raise this much money. I didn't know that just any person could coordinate on a Discord and make this happen. So there's just a lot of energy there, and there were a few other Discords that popped up after Constitution DAO kind of broke up, and one of them was a DAO that was trying to vote on what they wanted to buy, and one of the things that they wanted to buy was the biggest lunar asteroid in the world. And I thought this was really exciting, just kind of the meme potential of buying the biggest rock. But not only that, it's like a moon rock, so like we're going to the moon. And, it's kind of dumb, but then we started to realize like, okay, there's actually something here. There's something here in that like space is this new frontier, and so is crypto. And there is massive potential to unify people around the world to coordinate in these new ways. And we haven't been to the moon since 1976, but we're going to have that capability again. And how do we want to do it? Do we want like a World Economic Forum, like government, like global government that just decides what the power structure is top down, or do we want something different where people just kind of come together and decide like for themselves how they want to like collaborate and work together and eventually go to the moon as a DAO.
Cool. I was down in New Mexico last summer when Richard Branson went to space with Virgin Galactic for the same time, and being there as a member of the press, I definitely felt a little bit co-opted into some grand planetary PR campaign, and I actually feel pretty passionately that I find it a bit disturbing that basically three men are kind of determining, well, really one man is kind of determining our direction in space as a species. So can you talk a little bit more kind of about the mission of MoonDAO with respect to the future of human space exploration? Is that part of it?
Yeah. So our mission is to decentralize access to space research and exploration. And so in 2022, our big goal is to send one of our members out into space, or multiple of our members. And this is in a way sort of like a marketing gimmick. It's just a way of really saying like, wow, like these DAO people, like they can do all these crazy things. Like they can raise all this money. They can literally, go out into space. And our long-term roadmap really is more focused on funding community projects. So collaborating with different, like we have a huge Chinese community that's totally awesome. We have people from Africa, from Europe, from South America, and like we're trying to figure out how do we collaborate, how do we translate things, from one group to another. And it's just the energy in there is just incredible. Like I think space really just captures a lot of people's imagination. So we're attracting like some incredible engineers, like incredible, just like very bright minds. And I think that like a DAO is very well positioned to compete with these private companies. And so like, for example, SpaceX can only hire people in the United States. Like they have a massive talent shortage. But something like a DAO, like you can permissionlessly and like in a decentralized way, just bottom up, start funding like crazy projects. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility for something like a DAO to, purchase a small aerospace company or, start coordinating its own plans with rockets. And that's sort of where I hope things move. Yeah.
So like what strikes me is you didn't have to still be here. I mean, this is a project that it kind of started, like you said, as kind of a joke. We're going to buy a big moon rock, and then it became a much bigger thing with much bigger resources than I think you imagined. You were going to raise about $450,000, and you ended up at the time with several million worth of ETH. So was there ever any time where you're like, okay, this was just going to be a meme, man, and now we're actually doing all this stuff. Did you ever want to hand it over to somebody else, or what made you want to stick with it? Was it something you were passionate about all the way, and you were hiding behind the meme, or?
Yeah, I like to think of it as like a tightrope. So like I feel like DAOs work best when they are fun, but they also have some like meaningful thing behind it. So yeah, like it did start out as sort of like, you know, it's like our token is called Mooney, like money, but Mooney. Shout out to my friend Chris who came up with that. But yeah, like it's like I think that like there is a lot of potential to be captured just by making a fun community, something that people like to like work on, and not only that, but then set up incentives so they get paid more than their traditional you know jobs. So yeah, I mean, we started out raising, or our goal in the beginning was to raise $450,000, which was the quoted Virgin Galactic price for a ticket, and then it got out of hand basically. It really just took off in a way that I mean it's not that like I hoped that it would take off in this way, but then when it actually happens, you're like, wow, like
Right.
it was just a really wild ride. But you know, I think like we have a long-term roadmap, and we're not just like a short-term like just buying tickets and going up and then that's it. We really do intend to be a competitor to you know these private space companies, and work in a totally different way than these like traditional companies have been run. So. Yeah, like I'm in it for the long term for sure, and you know, um, yeah, like I think that the potential for something like this is huge because space is going to be probably the greatest wealth generation opportunity of our lifetimes. Just all the materials that are out there, and just basically, if you create a any sort of like colony or something on another planet, then the company that does the trade in between the two civilizations is going to be like insanely like they're going to be insanely wealthy. So either we try to fix these problems that exist right now in these private companies where you know equity is just held by just a few people, and we basically have these like incredibly wealthy just like super billionaire or trillionaires at this point, or we find new models of organization where you know the 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 profits can be sort of distributed in a way that is like more equitable, more inclusive to everyone in the world, not just maybe like the United States. Yeah.
Is beating Elon to Mars on the roadmap anywhere?
I mean, he's got a pretty sizable head start. We made the Discord in November, end of November, November 24th. So this is only, what is that, like 2-3 months in, which is crazy. Like, yeah, we have a treasury now of, you know, over $30 million. And so like, it's just like, you know, we're still figuring out exactly how to like it. I think that if done correctly, if DAOs in general are done correctly, then the advantages of a DAO, you know, they really speak for itself. Like they move at 10 times the pace that any company ever could, and you can get not just you know maybe thousands of people working on an idea, but you can get you know hundreds of thousands, millions of people working on something productively if you can set up the right incentives. So. You know, I really do believe in the technology, and I think that you know maybe we won't beat Elon to Mars. I don't know about that, but you know, once we get there, you know, what kind of governance structures and incentive structures do we want on Mars, and you know, do we think that something like a DAO could offer new ways of coordination that you know might be better out there?
So what have you learned about that process so far as you've been, you know, taking flight here in the last couple of months in terms of managing a community in which you've got people that a lot of them, I assume, just YOLO'd in because you're like, this is cool, we're going to the moon. We got Mooney tokens. And then you've got, you know, people that are passionate about the mission, and then maybe people that are more forward-looking with the roadmap, like where are we going to find the engineers to start doing this? How do you manage all that in one community? Have you figured anything out yet? Any tips?
Yeah, it's really crazy actually. Like there are you know a lot of just degens you know that want to pump the coin as much as possible, and that's like it's tricky with governance because you know it's like you want some amount of like you want the token price to go up, I think like that's nice for everyone in the community. But there are short-term ways to do that and long-term ways to do that. And I think the long-term ways to do that um, will, vastly outperform anything that can be done in the short term in terms of like, burning treasury or doing things like that. So, I mean, I think over time, like definitely in the beginning in MoonDAO, we had a lot of people that were very focused on the price of the token and how to maximize it. But over time, like we've built it's really cool. It's like a self-reinforcing culture at this point. Like new entrants that come in, they just start to talk to people on the Discord, and they see that like, okay, this isn't just like a meme token. Like these people are like serious. Like they want to do something real, and then I think like that just energizes them more. So we have a really really strong community, and yeah, it's really cool.
One thing I'm pretty sure some people in this room might be interested in is, you raised millions on Juicebox. How? Like, what was the secret? Was it just the meme?
Yeah. There are a lot of investors in China that love this stuff, and I think that there's definitely some of that. Well, I think okay. I think one of the most important things is to basically prove that you're not a scam. Like first of all, so like really really strongly signaling that like this isn't just like a money grab for like the people running it, and so that was really important. Basically like docs multi-sig, we didn't take any cut, we didn't take any pre-mine of the token. We basically set everything up as like the thing that I try to reiterate all the time in our town halls is like abundance mindset. Like try like the less that we take now, basically the more there is for everyone else. And so yeah, I think basically yeah, strong signaling that you're not a scam, and then yeah, reaching out to, well, yeah, I think doing really ambitious things that capture people's imagination, not just in like one area, but like something like going to the moon is like a shared dream that like people from all over the world can get behind. So I think that there's something interesting there that like the more outlandish and ambitious a mission is, the more it like energizes people, the more that they're like, okay, like if these people actually go to the moon as a DAO, like this is going to be insane. I want in, and even if it's just for the ride, just to see what happens, to see if it, like I think DAOs in general is just like a massive experimental space. So a lot of people are just experimenting with stuff, and they want to see, okay, what's going on here, Like I'll buy the token, see what's happening, and then I think we're changing a lot of people's minds.
Sure, having that virality is always a good thing when you're trying to crowdfund as well. And I mean, I think it speaks volumes that you were involved in two of the biggest juice box raises so far. Did you learn anything from the Constitution DAO experience that you have applied or are applying now to MoonDAO?
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important thing that I learned is transparency, and I think that DAOs basically need if you want to get the right network effects and the right community in place, you need to be extremely transparent, because if you're not transparent, if you're basically bottlenecking information, then that causes centralization, which means that you're missing all of the network effects that can occur. So something that's really important with MoonDAO is making sure that all the work is public, and it's a double-edged sword. Like you definitely get like you're basically just telling everyone what your plans are, right? Like if any competitor came out with like MoonDAO, and we've had like a lot of copycat DAOs, I guess, but anyone can see exactly what we're trying to do and all the work that we're doing. But I think that in order to truly be decentralized, you need to be transparent. And so like Constitution DAO suffered from a transparency issue, and then like Assange DAO recently, which was the biggest like raise, they surpassed Constitution DAO. They had a similar issue where they were doing everything in kind of these private chats, and they lost the trust of the community. They started making decisions that the community wasn't in alignment with, and then yeah, I think that it's just transparency is key. I think that that's like one of the biggest learnings that I've had so far.
So when are we going to see a MoonDAO member in space, and what are the odds it's you?
So the tickets that we are looking to purchase, those we'd be sending someone out in mid-year, so this year, in a few months. So that's pretty exciting. Whether or not it's me, I mean, I'd love to go. Like, I think it's like that'd be like just the experience of a lifetime. But uh, like I don't want to make it about like me or anything like that. So I'd really rather it be well. So yeah, maybe I can talk a little bit about the mechanism that we're looking at for how to decide who's going to be chosen. So we basically are going to sell like a bunch of NFTs at a low price. So I want it to be something so that like even my like little brother could like buy one of these things. Something like relatively cheap, and then we'll raffle it off. So basically, maybe we'll choose something like 100. We haven't really decided the number yet, but a smaller pool of people, and then they can kind of release their story or their candidacy for why they should be chosen and what they want to do in space, and then we can use the governance token to basically vote on who we feel like is like represents MoonDAO's values best or is most kind of like aligned with our mission or wants to do something funny in space. Yeah, so I think it'll be really interesting.
So we got a couple of minutes left. Tell me about Junto. I knew I'd screwed this up. Junto DAO?
Yeah, Junto.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that works, yeah.
What's your other project?
Yeah. So I've been working on Junto for about a year and a half, and this is I guess a project that's really close to my heart. Something that I think at the end of the day, DAOs have the massive promise of changing how people organize bottom up, and this is obviously a big threat to the powers that be. So like for example, Canada recently passed that emergency act to prevent I think it was like prevent crypto fundraising in Canada and then freeze accounts of people who were participating in the trucker stuff that was going on, and there's sort of like a suppressing of the human spirit, in my opinion. Like if people can organize more efficiently or start sharing resources in a way that helps each other out, then they no longer really have to be at the mercy of these power structures, which in there's just a very misaligned incentives between the ownership class and the rest of the world. And I think that these DAO tools basically offer a new way to align the ownership class and the user class, whatever you want to call it. So Junto is basically the idea is to make like communities that own their entire incentive structure. So kind of sovereign communities in a way where they totally like just they own their monetary policy of their community. They own how assets are distributed, their governance, etc. And the idea is for these to be real world communities. So like something like I come from like a smaller village in Spain, and they kind of already do this just ad hoc, but they don't have their own token. So like if you could give like some of these communities like the ability to totally own their entire incentive structure, I think that could really unlock a ton of human potential. So yeah, that's
So Junto coming soon to Juicebox?
maybe we'll see.
Well, any last thing you want to share about what's up next for MoonDAO?
So our 2022 goal is to send people up, and we should be able to do that in the next few months. And then after that, the thing that I'm really excited about is basically doing DAO token swaps, so investing in other DAOs and other communities. So when I said that we're like investing in other space like projects, like interfacing with the traditional companies is kind of tough. Like interfacing a DAO with a hierarchical like company kind of has to force the DAO to also be hierarchical in a way. So what I'm really, really excited about is to find other communities that are in the, that align with the mission of like kind of going to space, of rallying engineering resources, and then I really love this new mechanism of investing in communities where you can do a token swap. So basically, this isn't just like a one-time investment. It's like, okay, now we're aligned and we can leverage each other's communities. We can basically scale the mission in like in a insane way. So like imagine, our community. I think we have like 7 point something thousand on Twitter, right? And then we find another community that has like 5K on Twitter. Now we've basically doubled our resources. Just doing these like token swaps, and maybe the branding around it is like different, but then you can start to basically have all these synergies between communities. And I think that model is going to be unstoppable. Like I really don't see it like. I don't see these other companies keeping up. So. Yeah.
So how about, to prove the point, we'll go ahead and do a token swap, and we'll use that to pay for a party that starts in 25 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Sounds good. All right, Pablo, thanks so much.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Pablo. Any questions out there for him?